Well, basically, it's about a group of people in an office, isn't it?
Yes. They're all quite extreme characters as well, and they're all kind of interweaved in each other's lives.
Yeah, and this young girl comes to work there, and they all expect something of her, and she's kind of really vulnerable, and she comes into this kind of pit of all these mad people.
And they all take advantage of her.
I don't know, like there's affairs taking place, and there's kind of power struggles going on, and there's kind of a lot going on under the surface, really.
Everybody's sort of caught up in their own agendas.
So it's quite an accurate portrayal, really, I think, of like what happens within these, what happens within the workplace. Really, it's kind of it's the office party, like 365 days a week.
But I think the main themes that are seen are love, a desire to be needed and wanted, to be visible to the people around you, and about sexuality and the power of that.
I'm playing Stella. She's the new girl, 18-year-old admin assistant. At the start of the play, she's only been there a week, and she's very shy, socially awkward girl. This is her first job, and you gather that she doesn't really have much of a social life or a family life outside of it, so it's very important to her that she sort of impresses everybody and does a good job. So, yeah.
I'm playing David, who is the kind of the boss of the shop floor, as it were, within the call centre. He's engaged to a character called Kirsten, who you never meet, and she is the daughter of the owner. Like, all of the characters feel quite lonely and isolated in their own way, and I think David's kind of as lonely as anyone else in there, really. But he's a very aspirant figure, and you kind of see him. I guess you sort of see him at his peak, and then a slow descent, or not a slow descent, as the case may be.
I'm playing a girl called Michelle. She's in her early 20s, and she's had a baby really young, and got trapped in this job, in this life that she doesn't want to be in, and she's really sort of regretful and bitter and mournful about the life that she's lost. Like, she feels like her life's been taken away from her, and that's why she gets her claws into this young lass whose life she wants. She's vile, my character.
Well, and also my character Madge it's a similar thing really to your character, isn't it? Because I've given up my career and everything, and I had a baby very young, and I've ended up on my own now because my son has emigrated, and so Madge is very needy and not a very nice person, actually.
But underneath there's a great sadness, isn't there? It comes from a very sort of honest place, their insecurities and their vulnerabilities.
Yeah, because they've had bad things have happened to them both, really, and it's how it's made them, it's changed them as people, really, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And they've put these walls up around them, and I think Madge is very. She wants to get to the top. I mean, she aspires to be like one of the bosses, doesn't she? And she's not very nice to the people who work underneath her. But this is out of a massive sadness and a massive loneliness, and wanting to be down with the youngsters, I think, and having a bit of company. And plus, I think she just lusts after David. I'm
playing Clive, the husband of Louise. Now, Clive thinks he's a bit of an adventurer. He honestly believes that he's a little bit of an action man, but he's not. He's always covered in dog hair. Works in the call centre. He wears a shirt and trousers, but with a fleece and some walking shoes instead. You know, he thinks he's quite creative, thinks he's quite funny, but he's quite lonely and quite sad. He feels like he never quite achieved everything he would want to. He feels like he's a little bit stale, a bit stuck where he is, and he thinks, especially with the problems they have in conceiving a child, that he's become more of a machine. He's not so much a part of the relationship anymore, and he's just a bit disgruntled by everything, and he's just a little bit odd.
Louise, obviously Clive's wife, she works in the ultrasound department at the hospital, so she sees pregnant women all the time, which probably doesn't help the fact that they're trying to have a baby. They've obviously tried to go through the process of IVF and failed. Before the play starts, she's obviously miscarried a baby, and it's just about her character. She just desperately wants to get pregnant and wants them to be okay and be a family. He just wants to get a dog, and it's a constant source of, and like Chris had just said, it's written really beautifully, because it's written in a way that, without realising how people actually do talk to each other, they quite often cut each other off at the halfway through a sentence. They often repeat themselves. They often say, we discovered the more that we talk normally, how well the play has been observed and written about how people communicate or don't communicate, and don't listen and talk to each other. And it's really beautifully written, the scenes with Clive and Louise, because it is about the way that they banter with each other, and they sort of banter off each other, but then as the play goes on, they communicate less and less, and don't listen and don't hear.
Vulnerable, chopsy, and lonely.
And Madge, definitely Madge, very lonely, and I would say very needy, and it's difficult, that one, isn't it? It's hard. I don't know. Blimey, this is going to go on for 40 minutes.
Hopeless, nice dreamer.
Efficient, loving, lonely.
She's sweet, fragile, lonely.
Nice as pie.
I've thought of another word for Madge, probably the word I should have said first, menopausal.